Okay, this video is designed to help you get an A+ on your People of the Enlightenment quiz. So you already took People of the Scientific Revolution quiz, and this one's very similar to that, except for there's one extension that's really going to make you flex those brain muscles. So the first two people that will be on the quiz are people you should already know about: Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. About Hobbes, you need to know that he thought that people were naturally selfish. People were selfish. And you also need to know that because people are selfish, according to Hobbes, because people are selfish, they should be ruled by an absolute monarchy. Or absolute government. We can put in any word there, government or monarchy, but the key thing is that you know that it's absolute. And this absolute means that they rule over every aspect of your life. So just imagine the government can tell you whether or not you have a job. The government can tell you whether or not you have food. The government can tell you what sort of religion to practice. Those sorts of things. That's what that absolute word means. That's what's key there. So absolute monarchy or absolute government, associate that with Thomas Hobbes. John Locke, what you need to know with this dude is that he thought that humans were naturally good. People naturally good. So he thought if you let people be, people will help out each other, and things will be, for the most part, very good. And he thought that a gunner... Would you please not ruin my video? So I apologize for the delay there. I had to pause the video because Gunner had to go outside and bark at absolutely nothing. Okay, so John Locke thought that people were naturally good, and that natural rights must be protected by some sort of democracy. Natural rights protected. And he thought that the kind of government that best protects these natural rights is a democracy. And that makes sense because in a democracy, people are most free. And when people are most free, they can just, kind of be free and be naturally good. Okay? So let's continue. The other things you're covering in this information, you were very responsible for independently. So I'm not going to cover it in class. It's not going to come out of my mouth in class. But you will have resources in front of you from which to pull the information. So the first person we need to talk about that you read about in your textbook is this guy named Montague. So Montague is this interesting Frenchman, and he was observing governments, and when he was observing England's government, he noticed that there was 3 branches of government. He noticed that there was the executive, and Montague in England, while he was observing England, he noticed that this executive branch was the king or queen. And this king or queen is also known as the monarch. He noticed that there was a legislative branch, and that's the parliament. Parentheses here, parliament. And he noticed that there was a judicial branch. And judicial was the courts. So he noticed that there was an executive that had a king or queen, the legislative branch, which was elected by the people, it was a parliament, and this judicial branch, which was courts. And he called this the separation of powers, and that's what you're going to have to know. Separation of powers. And this separation of powers, no one of these, not the executive, the legislative, or the judicial, no one of them could get overly powerful. So separation of powers limited each branch and each branch checked the other. It was a system of checks and balances. So this should all sound very familiar, because when our founding fathers in America later on went to craft our government, they looked back at guys like Montague and Locke, and they said, we could use a lot of this stuff. This is good stuff. We are fans of the Enlightenment. They were pro-Enlightenment, and they used this stuff. So let's talk about our next Enlightenment thinker. The next person is Voltaire. And if you ever feel like a giant history nerd, like I have in the past, you should read some Voltaire, because Voltaire is a dude that was way ahead of his time. He lived in the 1700s, and he was really known for his religious tolerance. So he didn't think it was the government's business to get in what type of religion people practiced. And that should also sound familiar too, because our First Amendment says that you can practice whichever religion you would like and the government won't interfere. So religious tolerance was his big thing, and you should associate that with him. He was also known for practicing this thing called deism. And deism says this. It says that God created man and the world, and then he let it work as if it was a machine. So he let it work on his own. So deism was a popular belief among some of our founding fathers. So that's what Voltaire is known for. He was religiously tolerant, and he practiced deism. So he thought that, do what you'd like, practice whatever religion you like, and the government should have nothing to say about that. So let's move on to our next thinker, and that will be Adam Smith. Adam Smith. So Adam Smith, you should know him because he thought of this thing called the laissez-faire economy. If you watched the other video on this topic, then you should have seen laissez-faire economy. It means free market economy. It's the same thing, free market. And the free market economy says the government should not interfere with business. And we'll talk about this all year long because this is still a debate in even our modern politics. Government should not interfere with business. Okay, and that's really it for Adam Smith for now. You'll learn more about him in class, but for the purposes of this video, that'll do. The next person that you need to know about is Rousseau. Rousseau. He is the hardest name for me to remember how to spell out of all of these people. And Rousseau talked about this thing called the social contract. The social contract. Okay. And this social contract is an agreement between people and government. So the social contract is an agreement between people and government. And what it says is individuals cannot do just like whatever they want. They don't have this thing called absolute liberty. Like I can't go conk someone over the head because I forgot my pencil and I need to use someone else's pencil. I don't get that right. So we give up absolute liberty. So we give up absolute liberty, the right to do whatever we want in any capacity, for the good of society. And he called this good of society the general will. So again, like I can't go beat up someone and take their car. I don't have that right. But if I did have absolute liberty, there would be nothing that anyone could do about that. But I don't have absolute liberty. I give up some absolute liberty for the good of society and for the general will and just for overall safety. Because that's what government is good at. Okay, and that concludes the people that will be on the test. There is one more thing. The last thing you'll have to do is pick one person. So one Enlightenment thinker. So pick one thinker and explain how they are relevant today. And you're going to have to use 2 real examples in your explanation. So you'll have to do a matching section, matching each thinker with his idea. And then you're going to have to choose one of those thinkers and tell me why they're still relevant. Why does this still matter today? How does this play out in today's society? That'll be the end of the quiz. If you watch this video and do the assignments in class, there's no way that you will not be prepared for this quiz. As I always say, work leads to success. Success doesn't come with no work. Have a wonderful day. I hope you use and enjoy these videos. Gunner said he's sorry for ruining the middle.